This is FYI on your TV, brought to you by Hometown News. I'm Kathy Botham. I've got Peter Larmand with me. You are the owner of Big Rideau Tackle here in Smith Falls. Welcome to FYI.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you for having me.
We are starting to see ice shacks going out on the ice, and people are out there fishing. And I asked you to join us today, and let's talk about doing ice fishing, but let's doing it safely, because it's a family event. Most people like to do it by themselves, but you want to do it safely and enjoy the time out there.
Absolutely, and the area that we're in, we have an amazing resource around us. There's multiple lakes that you can go to. Obviously, there's the Rideau system, the Rideau River. You can go into Carlton Place, Arnprior, all around, head even down to the St. Lawrence. There's lots of bodies of water that you can go out. And now with the amount of cold that we've gotten over the last few weeks, the ice making has been phenomenal. Although that warm spell that we've had is kind of putting a kind of little slushy, like kind of plus of the snow, a little top water on there. But yeah, it's pretty safe right now to go out and ice fish. And as you said, there's a lot of shacks out there, kind of the Rideau Ferry area. There's a bunch of shacks out there. Portland, there's more. But yeah, it's a great activity to do with your family, by yourself, as you said. But the key thing is to do it safely.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I have never touched a fish. I will touch a worm. I've never broken it in half, and I won't put it on a hook or anything like that. But some of my best memories are with my dad and my uncles when I was fishing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, it's one of those things. I can remember, catching fish. My dad would take it off the hook and throw it back in, put another worm on it, and we'd spend hours doing that.
Absolutely. I mean, I've been fishing since as far back as I can remember with my father, like you said, with my father, my uncle. We'd take trips up north. We'd spend all day in a little 12-foot aluminum, eating a can of beans, while we're fishing, just never and be in the boat for 12 hours a day, and then maybe have enough just for a shore lunch and make a little fire or something on shore, and then, have a couple pieces of fish and potatoes and beans and whatever. And yeah, I remember doing that growing up as a kid, and we've even done it with my family. We've gone for a trip and then catch a couple fish, do a shore lunch, and get back out fishing. Yeah, it's great memories for sure.
It is, really. And I mean, we've got a picture of your boat in the background too. You're a serious fisherman. You've got I think it's a fish finder there, and all. And you could go to that you're a professional fisherman, I guess. Is that what you would say?
Well, I wouldn't call it a professional, because I don't fish. I don't make my living fishing. I do fish professionals type events. But yes, I am a tournament fisherman.
I guess that's what I'm saying. Tournament. Yes.
Yeah. There's tournament. There's various tournament circuits around the area. The Shootout Fishing League, Renegade Bass, Ottawa Valley Bassmasters. That's just to name a few. There's all over the place. There's bass tournaments everywhere. They range from all over Ontario and even into Quebec, and obviously there's the major ones in the States. But yes, there's tournaments is one thing that I've been doing for many years. Started back with my father when I was in high school. So I'm going to go at least 25 years now, if not, well, actually more. Probably 30 years that I've been fishing somewhat competitively.
Right, and you don't have to be a competitor to enjoy this sport either. All you need is some worms and a fishing. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a sport that you can do. As I see a lot of kids do it. We host a kids event every spring. Hopefully, we could do it again this year. Depending on restrictions and COVID, whatever. But you see kids going to the locks, just going to walking down the shoreline. And then, you have people that you can do it from shore, you can do it from a boat. And now kayak fishing has taken off. That you see a lot of people at kayak fishing.
And I really enjoy the events that you put on for the children too, to give them the opportunity to have this experience of fishing too, because some people don't have the equipment. And I've seen you at Laurel Reach Park, and hundreds of children show up with their families to have the experience of fishing and catching some fish. And much like myself, there's somebody there to put the worm on and take the fish off.
There is, and that was the whole premise of the tournament for the kids event was. Fishing's been really good to me. I've met a lot of great people through fishing, and I wanted to give back to it and get kids more involved with the outdoors. I know it's a cliche, more tackle boxes, less X boxes, but it really is. It's to get the kids back out. Um, it's if you enjoy it, it's something that you can carry on for the rest of your life.
That's right.
It can be an expensive sport, but it doesn't have to be. And if you keep it down to the basics and go out and enjoy yourself, doesn't matter whether you're catching, panfish like perch, bluegill, sunfish, crappie, or if you're going into, bass or the bigger game fish like walleye, pike, muskie, whatever. Yeah, it's a sport that it lasts you a lifetime, and you can do it. Uh, there's the physical restrictions are kind of minimal. If you can get to a body of water, you can fish a body of water as long as you can move your arms, you can cast. It's you could do it well into your senior years, right? And there's a lot of people that still do it. I mean, there's actually a professional angler right now. I believe he's 73 years old, and he still competes professionally in the States. And that's a testament to fishing, to his ability, and to all that. But yeah, fishing is something that you can do from a very early age to your glory years, and it's it's something you never forget.
And you can do it all year round.
You can. Again, and going back to what we started with the safety, and that's really it. It's doing, especially in the wintertime, very safely. Um, no different than in the summer. If it's terrible weather, the bad wind or whatever, you get off the water. If there's lightning, you get off the water. No different than in the wintertime. If the ice is, when you walk out from shore, um, always recommend a spud or a heavy rod or a heavy. It's called a spud, but basically something that you could poke the ice through. Try to poke through the ice. Um, Early in the season and as well as late in the season. So when a thaw happens, you always want to try not to venture out by yourself. You always want to have someone with you. Um, don't walk beside each other. Walk one in front of the other. If possible, have a rope between you. So if someone does fall in, the other person can pull them back out. There's various safety equipment you can have. There's ice picks that they kind of just hang around your neck. Um, so if you do fall in the water, you can, the picks are on your neck. You can pull yourself up while you're kicking. You can put these picks in the ice and pull yourself up as you're kicking the water out. Um, there's lots of safety equipment that's available, very fairly inexpensive. But when it comes to safety, it's probably the utmost importance. But yeah, that's safety is a priority when you go out ice fishing for sure.
And really know your ice, know your where you are too.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're going to a spot where you've never been to before, you definitely want to. If you are going to venture out by yourself, you definitely want to have that equipment with you, at least the spud, the picks. You want to tell someone where you are, where you're going. Tell a loved one, tell someone where you're going to be, and don't deviate from that. If you do, please call them back. Let them know you've moved on, you moved to a different lake. Because if something were to ever happen, if no one knows where you are, they can't find you. And that goes the same for summer fishing or anytime, all year round. When you go out, you could have boat problems that you all of a sudden your bilge pump or the bail bucket doesn't work or something doesn't happen where you're stranded in the water. You want to be able to make a phone call or you want to know someone knows where you are, whether they can say, I should be back by say 7 o'clock tonight. Well, it's now 9 o'clock. You're not home. I can't get a hold of you. Well, I know you were here. So that way you can send out authorities and hopefully find you and bring you back safely.
And like I see some ice shacks, and you're going to put them up at the beginning of the season, and they're staying out there. They're not
Yes.
moving. But there's so many of these portable shacks. It's like a tent. You could be on the Rideau today over, near Perth. You could be, somewhere near Carlton Place tomorrow because it's portable. So that part of it, telling people where you are because you're not always in the same place.
That's right. And there's so many advances that they've made in with those pop-ups. Right, that you're right. It's just a tent, and you can get them insulated, not insulated. You have some that have built-in sleds in them, built-in seats. They just kind of flip over. Yeah, they're very practical. You're right. If you don't have a permanent shack, like you have, like, as you mentioned earlier, yeah, you can hop around from lake to lake every day, every other day, or whenever you want. Um, it does give you that obviously portability and advantage of being able to go from lake to lake, or even within the lake from spot to spot. For example, like you said, you start out at Rideau Ferry, um, you go out at the conservation launch there, but all of a sudden you go, okay, well, I've set up here, but I want to move over, and then all of a sudden you go over to Stonehouse Island. You can set up shack there, and if it's windy, you put the shack up. You're comfortable with a little portable heater inside. You're actually sitting there with just a sweatshirt on, and your winter clothing, and you keep yourself nice and warm.
And I'm glad you said winter clothing too, because you got to make sure you dress appropriately for the day. I mean, you may be in an enclosed area, but you want to make sure that you're dressed appropriately for the day too.
Absolutely, because you're not in there until you actually have it all set up, right? So you may be trudging through snow if you're not taking if it's not safe for you to take your vehicle on, or a four-wheeler or skidoo or snowmobile or whatever. You're walking, and it can get cold. Your feet can get wet, so you always want to make sure that you have proper footwear, proper clothing, gloves, mittens, toques, whatever it is that you have to keep you warm. You want to make sure that you have all that.
All right. And I know COVID's been going on, but it is an outdoor event. Are there ice fishing tournaments going on?
There's a few. Like, there was actually one last weekend out on Mississippi Lake. I believe there's another one coming up within the next couple weeks down over in Lyndhurst, maybe. I can't remember. I know there's a big one in Alexandria Bay. There's another one, a big perch festival at Lake Simcoe. If people want to travel out there, I have a lot of people out there that know Lake Simcoe. They're notorious for a giant perch. Right now, they're saying there's 24 inches of ice on Lake Simcoe in certain areas. But again, it's even though that's there, even on the Rideau system or wherever you're fishing, even though they say there's a thick water, ice moves, and sometimes it cracks. And I don't know if anyone watched the news lately, but Lake Erie, I know it's a bigger body of water, but somebody was actually caught on the lake when the ice cracked, and all of a sudden it started separating, and they had to call the Coast Guard to get them airlifted out. But yeah, you always want to make sure the ice is safe for you to get on. Again, even at this time, when you drill a hole, make sure and see what the ice is like. Is it nice black ice? Perfect. If it's the thicker the better. You always, again, safety is the utmost importance, especially when, well, at any time, but especially during the ice because of the cold. That's another effect that can zap you very quickly.
Okay, okay. And again, I'm not an expert in this, but I know in summertime there's usually like different seasons for different fish. Or is it the same in for ice fishing? Different seasons for different fish?
There is. So right now, there's a lot of seasons that are closed. Like bass is closed right now. Smallmouth, largemouth bass are closed. Certain areas, trout's closed. Panfish is pretty much opened all year long. Walleye's open right now until, I believe, I don't have the regulations in front of me right now, but probably around mid-March to end of March. Then they close for the spawn, and then they reopen again on the second Saturday in May. Same for pike, and then bass will open up again at the second or third Saturday in June. But right now there's no, and obviously you cannot prevent out of season fish from biting your bait. I mean, obviously we can't dictate that. If that was the case, we'd all be winning millions of dollars in tournaments, because I just want the bigger bass to bite, not the smaller ones. But if you do catch one, release it quickly and then put it back in the water. And if you catch more than one, then just move. And that's the same for any time of the year, whether it's ice fishing or in the spring. If you're fishing for pike, for example, or even crappie in the spring, and you're catching bass, move. You cannot really stay there and continue to fish, because someone could misinterpret the fact that you're targeting out of season fish. So to avoid that altogether, if you catch a bass, that's fine. Let it go right away. Don't take a picture of it. Release it in the water. Move on. If you catch another one, just continue moving down the bank or whatever you're fishing. But you definitely try to avoid out of season pictures, because right now the regulations state that you have to release them in the water. While they're in the water, you can't take them out, hold them up, take a picture, do whatever. You gotta release them right away. So it's better to do that and avoid any aggravation from any of the conservation officers that are out there trying to protect our wildlife and make sure everyone's doing everything safely and legally.
That's right. That's right. Good information. Good information. Well, Peter, I thank you for joining us today. How do people get a hold of you? Where do people find you?
Well, again, thank you for having me. We're located in the old Sears building, right next door to M&M's. We're working on getting a sign up in the building, but we have our sign, our lettering in the window. So basically, we're at 207 Brockville Street, right next door to M&M Meats. They can find us at bigrideautackle.com, and find us also on all the social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram, etc.
Yeah, and you're right up the street from YourTV as well.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. Peter Larmand from Big Rideau Tackle talked about safe fishing habits and practices. Let's go out there and have fun and make some great memories.